All right, everyone, gather round, because today we're diving headfirst into a crossover nightmare you didn't know you needed. Imagine, if you will, the deepest, darkest corners of the void, far, far beyond the Emperor's light, past the edge of any Imperial sensor range. Something truly terrifying drifts. It's not just any ship. It's a living, breathing, organic cathedral of bone and chitina. A Genestealer brood ship. Seriously, if you thought these guys were creepy before, just picture their home base. It's silent, it's menacing, and it's always hungry. Now, this particular brood ship isn't just floating aimlessly. It's on a mission, constantly seeking new biomass, new genetic material to consume and incorporate into the horrifying tapestry of the Tyranid Hive fleet. And today, fate, or perhaps something far more sinister, has thrown them a curveball. A scouting brood, those brave or foolhardy vanguard organisms, is dispatched. Their target, a nearby derelict vessel, a silent hulk of metal and forgotten dreams, just waiting to be cracked open. But what they find inside isn't what anyone expected. Not forgotten tech, not human survivors, not even some minor xeno species. No, what they discover are eggs. And here's the kicker, these aren't just any eggs. These are eggs that are definitively asterisk, not asterisk. Think about that for a second. The Genestealers, who are basically the ultimate alien predators, encounter something so alien, so utterly asterisk other asterisk, that even asterisk they asterisk are stumped. It's a moment of cosmic horror that sends shivers down my spine just thinking about it. Hive Mind, that colossal, unified consciousness that guides every single Tyranid organism, picks up on this. A new whisper ripples through its vast, terrifying intellect. A thought, a directive, an irresistible urge. Harvest the unknown. And that, my friends, is where our story truly begins. You see, this isn't just a random encounter. This is first contact between two of the most iconic, terrifying alien species in all of science fiction. On one side, you have the Genestealers, those insidious harbingers of the Tyranid invasion, with their razor-sharp claws, psychic whispers, and a knack for subverting entire populations from within. They're all about infiltration, genetic manipulation, and overwhelming force. Their very existence is about transforming everything into more of themselves. And on the other side, the ultimate biological weapons, perfect organisms of survival and replication, acid for blood, inner jaws, and a life cycle that turns hosts into horrific ink. They're adaptable, relentless, and their sole purpose is to propagate, no matter the cost. So, what happens when these two titans of terror collide? What happens when the insatiable hunger of the Tyranid Hive Mind encounters the perfectly evolved killing machine of the Xenomorph? Does the Genestealer try to infect the Xenomorph? Can you even imagine a Genestealer Xenomorph hybrid? Or does the Xenomorph's acid blood prove to be an insurmountable defense, a biological deterrent against even the Tyranids' relentless hunger? The possibilities are absolutely mind-bending. Will the Genestealers see the Xenomorphs as just another form of biomass to be consumed and absorbed, their unique traits perhaps adding another layer of horror to the Tyranid biome? Or will the sheer, unyielding hostility of the Xenomorphs pose a genuine challenge? A threat unlike any the Hive fleet has ever encountered before. This isn't just a simple fight, it's a clash of biological philosophies. The Tyranids, always seeking to evolve, to incorporate, to become stronger by consuming. The Xenomorphs, already perfect, already lethal, designed for one purpose, to spread and survive. Imagine the scout brood, those initial Genestealers, exploring that derelict. They're probably expecting easy pickings, maybe some forgotten human colony, some unsuspecting creatures to begin their insidious work. Instead, they stumble upon something that defies their very understanding of life and horror. The sheer audacity of the Xenomorph's life cycle, its terrifying efficiency, might actually give the hive mind pause. Or it might see it as the ultimate prize, the genetic jackpot that could elevate the Tyranids to an even higher plane of unstoppable destruction. This Harvest the Unknown directive isn't just about biomass. It's about acquiring novel genetic traits, What if the Tyranids could somehow integrate the Xenomorph's acid blood, its stealth, its sheer resilience, or even its inner jaw into their own forms? That would be a terrifying development for the entire galaxy. Think about the implications for Imperial forces. If either asterisk of these species is a nightmare, what happens when they interact? Do they destroy each other, leaving a devastated but empty void? Or does something far, far worse emerge from this encounter? A new, hybridized terror that combines the worst aspects of both. A Genestealer cult that suddenly starts spawning facehuggers. Or Tyranid organisms with the stealth and ferocity of a xenomorph drone. This concept opens up so many incredible avenues for storytelling, for fan theories, and for just pure, unadulterated science fiction horror. It pushes the boundaries of what we thought was possible in these universes. It reminds us that even in the most established canons, there are always new nightmares waiting to be discovered. So, what do you think would happen? Would the Genestealers finally meet their match in the Xenomorphs? Or would the Hive Mind simply add another terrifying tool to its arsenal? Let me know your wildest theories in the comments below. This is such a fascinating what-if scenario that I wait to hear your thoughts. Today, we'll be diving deep into a terrifying crossover that redefines biohorror. What happens when the relentless Tyranid swarm, specifically Genestealers, encounters the ultimate xenomorphic horror? The aliens. Get ready. 'Cause this isn't going to be pretty. Imagine this. A Genestealer cult, centuries in the making, has finally reached its peak. The Patriarch, a creature of immense psychic power and genetic manipulation, is almost ready to signal the arrival of the Tyranid fleet. His acolytes, a twisted blend of human and xeno, are spread across a forgotten Imperial world, tirelessly preparing for the Great Devourer. They believe themselves the ultimate apex predators, the perfect harbingers. But deep within the catacombs they've carved, a different kind of horror lurks, a terror awakened by their very presence. Unbeknownst to them, a derelict craft, long dormant, has been disturbed. Within hours, the first facehuggers, those iconic, skin-crawling nightmares, launch their silent, deadly ambush. They latch on to Genestealer acolytes, not the pure-strain Genestealers themselves, but the human Genestealer hybrids, the frontline soldiers of the cult. Host integration begins instantly, just as it always does. The facehuggers do their grim work with terrifying efficiency, implanting their insidious cargo. But here's where the twist, the truly terrifying twist, begins. The xenoparasites, those biological terrors from another star, find Tyranid DNA. Intoxicating. It's not just a host, it's a genetic playground, a puzzle to be rewritten in ways even the xenomorphs have never encountered. What happens when a species built on genetic adaptation and assimilation meets a parasite that specializes in genetic hijacking? The chestbursters that erupt from these unfortunate acolytes are not typical They are enhanced, twisted. The Tyranid genetic material, already alien and complex, reacts violently with the xenomorph's own rapid evolutionary programming. We're talking about new forms, new traits, new levels of horrific adaptation. The chestbursters emerge with aspects of their Genestealer lineage, perhaps a hint of the scything talons, a thicker carapace, or even a nascent psychic sensitivity that corrupts the very air around them. Imagine a xenomorph with the four-armed ferocity of or a headclaw that can rip through power armor with unnatural ease. These aren't just bigger or stronger. They are fundamentally altered, a hybrid horror that redefines the apex predator. This immediate, unprecedented host integration sends shockwaves through the Genestealer cult. The Patriarch, accustomed to being the ultimate genetic manipulator, experiences a psychic backlash as his children, his acolytes, are corrupted by an outside force. He feels their pain, their transformation, and the surge of an utterly alien, utterly hostile biosignature. This is not assimilation into the hive mind. This is an invasive, destructive The pure-strain Genestealers, already incredibly perceptive, quickly realize something is terribly wrong. Their brethren are no longer just hosts. They are becoming something else. The traditional Genestealer reproductive cycle, which relies on passing on their own genetic code, is being interrupted, even perverted, by the Xenomorphs' insidious biology. The Genestealer brood, once a unified force, now faces an internal enemy born from its own ranks. The first encounters are devastating. The newly birthed Xenomorph Genestealer hybrids are fast, brutal, and utterly unpredictable. They lack the Genestealer's strategic coordination, but they compensate with raw, instinctual ferocity and an adaptability that even the Tyranids would find impressive. They strike from the shadows, their acidic blood a constant danger, their new bioengineered forms ripping through cultists and even unsuspecting pure strangers. The facehuggers, sensing the potent genetic material, become even more aggressive, targeting any viable host they can find. The Genestealer infection, which once spread through insidious impregnation, now faces competition from an even more ruthless and rapid form of biological conquest. The balance of power shifts dramatically. The cult, once unstoppable, now faces a war on two fronts. The Imperial forces they were luring, and this horrifying new internal threat. The psychological impact on the remaining cultists is immense. They are caught between two alien horrors, both vying for their genetic material, both seeing them as mere resources. The promise of transcendence into the Tyranid Hive Mind now seems a distant, almost preferable, alternative to the nightmare unfolding around them. Panic spreads like wildfire, further disrupting the cult's carefully laid plans. What does this mean for the Tyranid Hive Mind itself? When the fleet finally arrives, what will they encounter? Not the pristine, genetically prepared hosts they expected, but a chaotic battleground infested with a new, terrifying breed of xenomorph. Will the Tyranids recognize these hybrids as viable biomass, or will they see them as a genetic abomination, an infection within an infection, something to be utterly purged? This genetic puzzle, the collision of Tyranid and xenomorph, isn't just about survival. It's about genetic dominance. Which species' evolutionary drive is stronger? Which can assimilate and weaponize the other more effectively? The outcome could create a new, ultimate bioweapon, or simply an unsustainable, self-destructive war between two of the galaxy's most feared predators. The implications are staggering. Could these new xenomorph Genestealer hybrids somehow become a new threat to the wider galaxy, independent of both their progenitors? Imagine a species with the reproductive speed and adaptability of the xenomorph, combined with the cunning and psychic potential of the Genestealer, free from the dictates of either a queen or a hive mind. That's a truly terrifying thought. The face of infection has been irrevocably altered. No longer is it a simple assimilation or a straightforward parasitic cycle. It's a complex, unpredictable genetic war zone, where the very definitions of host and parasite are being rewritten in blood and acid. The universe watches, unaware, as a new bio-horror is forged in the crucible of this unthinkable encounter. Today, we're diving deep into the darkest corners of cosmic horror, picking up right where we left off in our twisted saga. If you're new here, you're in for a wild ride. So buckle up. We're about to unveil the horrifying next chapter, the birth of the aberrant spawn. This is where things get truly, utterly chilling. Imagine, if you dare, a silent, creeping horror, evolving in the shadows, far beyond human comprehension. For generations, the whispers have spoken of new life, but nothing could prepare the universe for what was truly brewing. This isn't just evil, it's a terrifying leap into the unknown, a grotesque fusion of nightmares. The first hybrids, oh, the very first of their kind, are emerging from the chrysalis of creation. These aren't the crude imitations or simple crossbreeds you might envision. No, these are something far more sinister, far more perfectly engineered for terror. They are the apex predators of a new, horrifying lineage, blending the absolute worst traits of two cosmic horrors into a singular, unstoppable. Picture this. They possess the uncanny, almost supernatural stealth of those creatures that can slip through shadows, appearing and disappearing as if they were never there. The ones that move with a silent, predatory grace that sends shivers down your spine. These hybrids have that. They are whispers in the dark, shadows that breathe. moving with an eerie quietude that makes them almost impossible to detect until it's far too late. They are the ultimate infiltrators, designed to sow chaos and fear from within, blurring the lines between friend and foe. But wait, there's more. Much, much more. They also boast the fearsome, acidic resilience of the Xenomorph. Think about it. That corrosive blood, capable of eating through solid metal. That tough, chitinous hide that deflects conventional weaponry. And a sheer, unyielding will to survive and propagate. These hybrids are not just tough. They are practically invulnerable to many forms of attack, shrugging off damage that would cripple other creatures. Their very essence is danger. Every inch of their being a weapon. Imagine an enemy that can melt through your defenses with a single spray, and then withstand your most powerful counter. That's the horror we're talking about. And here's where it gets truly unsettling, where the line between instinct and intelligence blurs in the most terrifying way. These first hybrids carry within them an embryonic psychic signature. It's not fully developed yet, not the raw, overwhelming power of a fully grown Genestealer patriarch, but it's there, a faint, unsettling hum in the minds of those who are sensitive enough to perceive it. It's a primal echo, a nascent connection to something vast and malevolent, a silent command that hints at a terrifying future. This isn't just about physical prowess, it's about a growing mental dominion, a dark consciousness beginning to stir. Their actions, immediate and utterly ruthless. These creatures, born of a twisted biological process, show no sentiment, no hesitation, no mercy. They kill their parents, the very organisms that house their grotesque gestation, without a second thought, without a flicker of emotion. It's a chilling testament to their utterly alien nature. Their absolute dedication to their own kind, their own twisted purpose. There's no love, no recognition, just a cold, biological imperative driving them forward. They are born and they immediately begin to cleanse, to eliminate anything that stands in the way of their ultimate goal. And what is that goal? To build. To propagate. To dominate. With their parents eliminated, they immediately begin the horrifying process of building a new hive. This isn't just a nest. It's a living, breathing extension of their will, a pulsating organic fortress designed to shelter their kind and spread their influence. Imagine the intricate, grotesque architecture, crafted from organic matter, fused with their own acidic secretion, growing rapidly and silently in the dark. Each new chamber, each new tunnel, is a step towards a terrifying new empire. This isn't just a tale of monster making. It's a profound look into the terrifying efficiency of evolution when twisted towards a singular, destructive purpose. The hashtag hybrid XENOR here, and they are unstoppable. The hashtag GENESTEALER. Cult has found its true heirs, and the cosmos will never be the same. This is the birth of something truly abominable. An entirely new threat that combines the most terrifying aspects of two legendary creatures. The sheer potential for destruction, for overwhelming planetary invasion, is mind-boggling. This is not just a chapter, it's a new era of cosmic horror. What do you think of these terrifying new hybrids? How would humanity even begin to counter such an adaptable and ruthless foe? Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more deep dives into the lore of the unknown, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next horrifying installment. Today, we re-dive in deep into one of the most chilling concepts in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Something that sends shivers down the spine of even the most hardened space marine. We're talking about the Tyranid Hive Mind, but not as you know it. We're exploring a scenario so terrifying. It redefines the very essence of this ravenous Xenos threat, the silence of the Hive Mind. Imagine, if you will, the endless hunger, the biological imperative of the billions upon billions of organisms, all marching to the same silent, psychic drumbeat of the hive mind. It's a perfect, terrifying symphony of consumption. No individual will, no deviation, just pure, unadulterated purpose. Every action, every thought, every gnashing maw, utterly subservient to the collective. This isn't just a military strategy. It's the very fabric of their being, their identity as a species. Hive asterisk is asterisk, the Tyranids, and the Tyranids asterisk are asterisk, the hive mind. It's a terrifyingly efficient, utterly merciless entity that has devoured entire galaxies. Now, picture this. Amidst this vast, terrifying cosmic ballet of destruction, a whisper, a tiny, almost imperceptible tremor in the overwhelming psychic current, a single, minuscule deviation, perhaps a genetic anomaly during the consumption of a new world, an unforeseen reaction to unique biological matter, or maybe just a cosmic fluke in the endless churn of bio. It's a new strain, a variant, unlike any before. It still hungers, still seeks to consume, but something is different. It's like a single, off-key note in a perfectly tuned orchestra. Hive Mind. T's colossal, ancient intelligence spanning light years is designed for ultimate efficiency and perfect control. It senses everything, assimilates everything, and permits no anomaly. Any deviation, any rogue element, is immediately targeted for reabsorption, It's like the ultimate immune system, purging anything that doesn't fit the grand design. So, when this new strain emerges, the hive mind does what it always does. It extends its psychic tendrils, its will, its absolute command, intending to draw this anomaly back into the collective, to erase its individuality and reintegrate it into the relentless purpose of the swarm. It's an instinctive, automatic process, as natural as breathing for a lesser species. But this time, something unprecedented happens. The signal goes out, the command to absorb and re-establish control. But the return is not the expected wave of subservience. Instead, it's corrupted, broken. Like static on a perfect broadcast, the psychic echo that bounces back to the hive mind is twisted, fragmented, and utterly alien. It's not the familiar drone of countless minds thinking as one. It's something new, something asterisk. Other asterisk. And within that corruption, within that fractured return signal, something utterly chilling resonates. Thoughts. Individual thoughts. Self-aware thoughts. This new strain, this anomaly, isn't just resisting. It's asterisk. Thinking asterisk. For the first time in the Tyranid saga, the unthinkable occurs. A Tyranid brood, a segment of the all-consuming swarm, actively asterisk refuses asterisk, the will of the hive. It's not just an error, it's defiance. It's a schism, a break in the monolithic unity. This is monumental. It rewrites everything we thought we knew about the Tyrants. Imagine the implications. The hive mind has always been presented as an infallible, all-encompassing entity, its control absolute. But now, for the first time, it faces true insubordination, not a physical resistance, but a psychic, existential refusal. What does this mean for the future of the galaxy? A Tyranid swarm that acts with independent will. A hive mind that is no longer omnipotent over its own creations. This isn't just a biological mutation. It's an evolution of consciousness within a species that was never meant to have it. It's xenoevolution in its most terrifying form. The Tyranid threat, already the most terrifying in the galaxy, just got a whole lot more complex and unpredictable. No longer a mindless, instinct-driven force, but one capable of independent thought, capable of asterisk, choosing asterisk its own path. Even if that path is still pure. Unadulterated consumption. The silence isn't just the lack of control. It's the sound of a new, terrifying consciousness awakening. What do you think happens next? Does the hive mind unleash its full fury to crush this rebellion? Or does it try to reabsorb this new, self-aware strain, potentially corrupting itself in the process? This scenario opens up a galaxy of possibilities for storytelling and even greater terror. Today, We're diving deep into the chilling saga of the Hive hybrids, specifically into a pivotal moment that reshaped their very existence. Chapter 5, The Feeding of Knowledge. Get ready, because this is where things get truly gnarly and absolutely fascinating. You know, up until now, we've seen these hybrids as a cunning, evolving threat. But what happens when they unlock an entirely new level of adaptation? It all begins with a grim, yet incredibly strategic, act. The consumption of captured Genestealers. Think about that for a second. It's not just about sustenance, it's about absorbing their essence, their very being. Imagine the sheer horror of being a Genestealer, captured by the very beings you helped create, only to be processed, not for destruction, but for data extraction. It's a twisted form of respect, isn't it? A dark communion where the predator becomes the prey, and their memories, their instincts, become fuel for a greater, more insidious evil. This isn't some random act of cannibalism. It's a systematic harvesting of knowledge. The hybrids, with their innate connection to the hive mind, are able to tap into the neural memories of these consumed Genestealers. It's like downloading an entire library of combat experience, genetic blueprints, and psychic resonance directly into their collective consciousness. Every ambush tactic, every sensory detail of a new environment, every subtle genetic advantage, all of it is now theirs. This isn't just about getting smarter. It's about becoming intrinsically more Genestealer, yet retaining their hybrid cunning. They're effectively upgrading their operating system with premium alien-derived software. And what's the immediate, mind-blowing result of this knowledge feast? A radical shift in their developmental trajectory. They begin constructing biomechanical architecture. This isn't just about digging tunnels anymore. We're talking about living structures, picture spore hives, but instead of purely organic matter, they're interwoven with metallic veins. This is where the evolutionary horror truly sets in. They're not just adapting to environments. They're engineering them. These aren't crude shelters. These are sophisticated, self-repairing, self-growing fortresses designed for ultimate efficiency and terror. It's a terrifying leap from natural selection to engineered evolution, a testament to their newfound intelligence and the dark wisdom they've assimilated. Imagine a living building, pulsing with organic matter and metallic conduits, perfectly adapted to nurture their broods and extend their influence. It's like a biological factory, constantly refining and enhancing itself. This groundbreaking development brings us to one of the most chilling moments in their lore. The Queen Patriarch speaks. For the very first time, this central figure, this nexus of hybrid intelligence and genetic imperative, utters words that send shivers down your spine. 3 simple, yet profoundly impactful phrases that encapsulate their entire philosophy. We remember, we adapt. We become, we remember. This isn't just a statement of historical fact. It's a declaration of inherited knowledge. It signifies that the collective memories, the genetic imprint, and the tactical data gleaned from the consumed Genestealers have been fully integrated. They don't just know. They remember the experiences of their genetic progenitors. It implies a deep, almost spiritual connection to the ancestral knowledge of the Tyranid swarm, transcending individual consciousness. It's a promise that no lesson learned, no genetic advantage gained, will ever be forgotten. Then we adapt. This isn't a new concept for the hybrids, but coming from the Queen Patriarch, it takes on a whole new weight. It's a reaffirmation of their core strength, their relentless drive to overcome any obstacle. But now, this adaptation is informed by an exponentially vaster pool of knowledge. It's no longer just about responding to threats. It's about proactive, calculated evolution, predicting challenges, and preemptively developing solutions. They're not just surviving, they're thriving through intelligent, directed evolution. It's about taking the lessons learned and applying them in ways that make them unstoppable. And finally, the most ominous phrase of all, we become. This isn't about becoming something asterisk. It's about the relentless process of becoming more asterisk. It's a statement of perpetual growth, of an endless evolutionary path towards ultimate perfection, guided by the hive mind and fueled by absorbed knowledge. It hints at forms, yet unseen, abilities, yet undiscovered. A future where the hybrids transcend their current limitations and evolve into something truly terrifying and unstoppable. This isn't an end goal. It's an ongoing, unstoppable process of transformation. They are not merely creatures. They are a constantly refining weapon, ever improving, ever expanding. This chapter, The Feeding of Knowledge, is absolutely critical because it marks a turning point. The hybrids cease to be merely a cunning offshoot of the Tyranid swarm. They become an entity capable of self-directed, bioengineered evolution. They're not just mimicking the Tyranids, they're integrating and innovating, creating something entirely new and far more insidious. This fusion of raw Tyranid aggression, genestealer memory, and human-like cunning creates a threat that is exponentially more dangerous. They are the ultimate bioengineers, the masters of evolutionary horror, constantly pushing the boundaries of what it means to adapt and survive. What do you think about this chilling development? The bioengineering, the hive hybrid evolution, the pure horror of it all. It's just incredible world building, isn't it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please smash that like button. Subscribe for more lore breakdowns. Alright, welcome back, loyal subjects of the Imperium, and perhaps a few curious Xenos sympathizers, though we really hope not. Today, we're diving deep, and I mean deep asterisk, into one of the Imperium's most terrifying threats. A story that begins not with a bang, but with a sickening crash. We're talking about Infection Protocol. Hive Primus. Buckle up, because this isn't your average Tuesday. Imagine, if you will, the bustling, colossal hive cities of Grenthos 4. Millions upon millions of souls, toiling away under the watchful eye of the Imperium. Life is hard, but it's ordered. Until, that is, something else crashes down. Not a meteor, not an enemy warship, but a living, breathing hybrid hive asterisk. It slammed into the lower hive cities, a truly catastrophic event that initially the Imperium, in their infinite wisdom, mistook for something they understood. A Genestealer cult uprising. And who can blame them? The initial chaos, the sudden surge of violence, it had all the hallmarks, but oh, how wrong they were. This wasn't just a cult. This was something far, far worse. It was a new breed of horror, an escalation of the Xenos threat that would send shivers down the spines of even the most hardened space marine. The initial reports were confused, chaotic. Militias were overwhelmed. PDF forces found themselves facing an enemy unlike any they'd trained for. The sheer speed of the infestation was alarming. What started as skirmishes quickly spiraled into full-blown urban warfare. Entire sectors of the lower hives falling silent, then echoing with horrific new sounds. The first hint that this was beyond a mere cult came from the medical bay, or what was left of it. The brave, often unsung heroes of the Magos Biologis, the biological scientists of the Adeptus Mechanicus, were a cadet. Their job, to figure out what exactly they were fighting, and their findings, absolutely chilling. They began performing autopsies on the strange, mutated creatures brought in by the Imperial Guard, the bodies of those infected, and the alien constructs themselves. What they discovered shook the very foundations of Imperial biothreat assessment. Firstly, the blood. Instead of the thick, iron-rich fluid of humanity, these creatures bled a highly corrosive, acidic substance. Imagine getting splashed with that in the heat of battle. It would eat through armor, flesh, and hope itself. This wasn't just a biological defense mechanism. It was an integral part of their ecosystem, their very being. It hinted at a biochemistry far removed from anything the Imperium had encountered in a simple Genestealer cult. It suggested an evolved, specialized predator, but the acidic blood was just the beginning. The Magos Biologis also found something even more insidious. Nanofibrial glands. Now, for those not familiar with advanced bioengineering, nanofibrils microscopic fibers, incredibly strong and versatile. To find glands producing these in a xenos organism implied an entirely new level of biological sophistication and adaptation. These glands were weaving structures within the creatures, reinforcing their tissues, creating incredibly durable carapace, and perhaps even aiding in the rapid construction of their hive structures. This wasn't just an infection, it was a biological invasion designed to assimilate and transform, not just conquer. The nanofibrils could be used for anything: rapid healing, reinforcing skeletal structures, even generating new biological weapons or tools on the fly. The implications were terrifying. This wasn't just a cult worshipping a distant alien entity. This asterisk was asterisk, the alien entity, manifesting directly, evolving on the fly, adapting to its environment with terrifying speed and efficiency. The Genestealer cult was merely a precursor, a smokescreen for something far more complex and dangerous. The Imperium was now facing a bio-threat that mutated its own biology, that created new forms of defense and offense from within its own body. This was not merely a military problem, it was an existential one. How do you find an enemy that can adapt, evolve, and rebuild itself at a cellular level, with acidic blood for defense and nanofibrils for rapid structural generation? The protocols for containing a Genestealer cult were insufficient. New, desperate measures would be needed. The information, once it reached the highest echelons of the Administratum and the Ordo Xenos, caused widespread panic and immediate reassessment of Imperial defenses. Grenthos IV became a crucible, a testing ground for humanity's ability to withstand a new, horrifying form of Xenos aggression. The very term Hive Primus began to circulate, whispering among the terrified commissars and battle-hardened veterans, a designation for a threat so profound, so utterly alien, that it warranted its own chilling infection protocol. It was a race against time, a desperate struggle to understand, contain, and ultimately eradicate this evolving nightmare before it consumed Grenthos IV, and perhaps spread beyond. The fate of an entire sector hung in the balance. All right, everyone, settle in, because today we're rediving headfirst into a tale that chills even the most seasoned veterans of the Imperium. We're talking about a chapter, a dark chapter indeed, titled The Purge That Fails. Now, you might think you know what happens when the glorious Astra Militarum rolls out, right? Overwhelming force, unwavering faith, bolters blazing, and the Emperor's fury unleashed upon the enemies of mankind. But sometimes, just sometimes, even the mightiest efforts can go terribly, terribly wrong. And that's exactly what happened in this particular, unfortunate saga. Imagine a world, perhaps one of the countless Imperial planets, facing a burgeoning threat, a darkness stirring beneath the surface, a whisper of something unnatural. Reports come in, scattered at first, then growing in number and urgency. Strange disappearances, unsettling sounds, and a growing sense of dread gripping the populace. This isn't just a simple Xenos incursion. Oh no, this is something far more insidious. Something that thrives in the shadows. Something that seeks to corrupt and consume from within. And when the Administratum finally gets a clear picture, or as clear as it can ever be in these situations, the alarm bells ring across the sector. The threat? A Genestealer cult. For those unfamiliar with these vile creations, imagine a hidden, cancerous growth within society, slowly, painstakingly, converting human populations into their twisted genetic lineage. They are masters of disguise, their hybrids blending in, their purest strains remaining hidden, all serving a singular, terrible purpose: to prepare a planet for the arrival of the Tyranid Hive fleet. They are a biological precursor, an advance party, ensuring minimal resistance when the true horror descends from the void. And when the Astra Militarum is called in, it's usually because the cult has grown too large, too powerful, too close to revealing its true, monstrous face. So, in this grim chapter, the call goes out. Regiments are mustered, transports are loaded, and the Emperor's finest, the humble, brave, and often ill-equipped, but incredibly resilient men and women of the Astra Militarum are deployed. Their mission: a full-scale purge. Not just suppression, not just containment, but utter absolute annihilation of the infestation. No survivors, no lingering traces. A cleansing, a glorious, necessary purge to safeguard humanity. And what do you send in for a cleansing? You send in the specialists. You send in the fire. You send in the raw, destructive power designed to burn away all impurity. The cleansing teams are assembled, their ranks filled with grim-faced soldiers, their faith ironclad, their resolve unbreakable. They are armed, not just with their standard-issue lasguns, but with the tools of utter obliteration. We're talking flamers, folks. Lots and lots of flamers. The kind of weapons that turn flesh and bone into ash, that sterilize the very ground they touch, and for the more resilient, the more entrenched targets, they bring melta charges. Weapons that unleash a concentrated beam of superheated plasma, capable of melting through reinforced bulkheads, and even the thickest alien carapace, in an instant. These soldiers aren't just fighting, they're eradicating. They're scrubbing the planet clean with holy fire and focused destruction. Their initial deployment is precise, calculated. They move systematically, sector by sector, targeting known infestation zones, rumored cult gatherings, and suspected hideouts. The air quickly fills with the roar of flamers, the searing hiss of melting metal, and the acrid smell of burning biomass. They fight with courage, with determination, pushing back the shadows, bringing the Emperor's light to the darkest corners of the Underhive, or the forgotten ruins. They are the shield, the sword, the unwavering hand of humanity against the encroaching darkness. They believe in their mission, they believe in their equipment, and they believe in the Emperor. But here's where the horror truly begins to unfold. The Genestealer cult is not a conventional enemy. It doesn't fight with conventional tactics. It doesn't rely on simple numbers or straightforward ambushes. It's a living, breathing, evolving organism with a collective consciousness and an uncanny ability to adapt. As the cleansing teams push deeper, as they burn away segment after segment of the infestation, something starts to go wrong. Within days, not weeks, not months, but mere days of their deployment, the reports start to change. Communications become spotty, then cease altogether from certain sectors. Patrols don't return. Forward operating bases go silent. The veteran commanders, men and women who have seen countless horrors and faced down untold alien threats, feel a cold dread creeping into their hearts. This isn't just resistance. This is something else. Something far more unsettling. Then come the chilling discoveries, or rather, the lack of discoveries. The missing soldiers aren't just missing in action. Their bodies aren't found riddled with bullet holes, or torn apart by claws, or consumed by fire. There are no signs of a struggle, no last stand, just absence. It's as if they simply vanished into thin air, leaving behind only the lingering scent of ozone and burning fuel. A grim testament to their last, futile efforts. The fear begins to spread, not just among the common troopers, but among the leadership as well. Where have they gone? What enemy leaves no trace? The terrible truth slowly, horrifyingly, comes to light. The soldiers haven't just vanished. Their corpses, their very essence, their genetic material, have been repurposed. They haven't been killed and left to rot. They've been taken, abducted. And for what gruesome purpose? For what unimaginable fate? The answer is revealed in the most grotesque way possible. The missing soldiers, the brave men and women of the Astra Militarum, are being used as living ink. Imagine the terror, the psychological devastation of knowing that your comrades, your friends, the people you fought alongside, are now nothing more than fleshy vessels for an alien horror. Their bodies, once strong and defiant, are being consumed from within, transformed into grotesque biological factories, nurturing the next generation of the enemy. The alien larvae, the spawn of the Genestealers, are growing within them. This isn't a quick, merciful death. This is a slow, agonizing process of parasitic consumption and transformation. The very life force, the very genetic code of the Imperial soldier, twisted and perverted to serve the alien agenda. It's a fate worse than death, a violation of the most fundamental kind, turning the defenders into the very weapon of their destruction. And the most chilling part, the victims are still technically alive, their nervous systems likely intact enough to experience the horrific metamorphosis, to feel the alien life force growing within them, consuming their humanity piece by piece. This grotesque discovery sends shockwaves through the remaining forces. Morale plummets. The enemy isn't just fighting them, it's using them. It's turning their own strength against them, perverting their sacrifice into a means for its own proliferation. The purges, meant to cleanse, are instead feeding the beast. The flamers and melted charges are designed for destruction, but they cannot stop what has already begun within a living host. The enemy doesn't need to kill them outright when it can turn them into something far worse. And then, the ultimate, horrifying consequence of this failed purge becomes devastatingly clear. The infestation, instead of being contained or eradicated, doubles, not just in number, but in its insidious reach, its genetic diversity, its horrifying effectiveness. Every soldier lost becomes a new incubator, a new vector for the hybrid larvae to grow and mature. The very act of sending in cleansing teams has inadvertently accelerated the cult's growth, making the problem exponentially worse. What started as a desperate attempt to staunch a tide has become a catalyst for a full-blown tsunami of horror. The Genestealer cult, far from being weakened, has gained a terrifying advantage. It has absorbed Imperial genetic material, perhaps making its hybrids even more robust, more cunning, more difficult to detect. It has turned the Astra Militarum's best efforts into its own biological factories. The planet, once perhaps salvable, now teeters on the brink of complete assimilation, its fate sealed by a purge that backfired in the most catastrophic way imaginable. The seeds of destruction were sown by the very hands meant to protect. This tale, the purge that fails, is a stark reminder of the sheer, unyielding horror that the Imperium faces. It's a testament to the cunning and adaptability of its enemies, and the ever-present danger of underestimating the darkness. It shows us that even with the best intentions, the greatest bravery, and the most devastating weaponry, sometimes the true enemy is far more complex, far more insidious, than anyone could have possibly imagined. It's a tragedy born of a failed attempt to save, a horrifying irony where the cure became the disease. But even in such bleakness, there's a lesson. The Imperium, for all its might, and all its faith, must remain vigilant, must adapt, must learn from these brutal failures. For every purge that fails, there are countless others that succeed, often at an unimaginable cost. The fight for humanity is never easy, never straightforward, but it is a fight that must continue, with every fiber of one's being. And for us, watching from a distance, it's a chilling glimpse into a universe where survival is a constant, brutal struggle against the unimaginable. Thank you so much for joining me on this grim journey through the Imperium's dark corners. If you found this tale as chilling as I did, please consider giving this video a thumbs up. We're talking about Chapter 8 in our epic saga, Echoes in the Warp. Get ready, because this is where things get seriously twisted. You know, the Imperium, or the Warp, as it's more commonly known, is already a terrifying place. It's a realm of raw emotion, unbound possibility, and unimaginable horrors. It's where the very fabric of reality thins, and sanity often breaks. But what happens when something new emerges there? Something that makes even the ancient, all-powerful chaos gods sit up and take notice. That's exactly what's happening with these hybrids we've been tracking. Their emerging psychic field isn't just a flicker. It's a growing, reverberating wave that's sending shockwaves through the warp itself. Imagine a calm pool of water, and suddenly, a massive, unidentifiable object plunges in. That's kind of what's happening here. But instead of water, it's the chaotic energies of the Imperium, and instead of a splash, it's a cosmic tremor. This isn't just some local disturbance. This is a profound shift. The very essence of these hybrids, their unique biology, their strange connection to both human and Xenos origins, is creating a psychic signature, unlike anything the Warp has ever encountered before. And what does this mean for the denizens of that terrifying realm? Well, it means the Chaos Demons are sensing something *. New *. Think about it. These creatures have seen it all. They've fed on fear, despair, ambition, and excess for millennia. They know the scent of human souls, the taint of alien minds, the echoes of ancient evils. But this is different. This is flesh that, in some bizarre way, defies both chaos and order as they understand it. It's a paradox, a living enigma that doesn't fit neatly into their established cosmic categories. Let's break down how the big players are reacting. First up, we have Tzinch, the architect of change, the changer of ways, the grand schemer. And how does he react to this unprecedented phenomenon? A laughs. Not a cruel, mocking laugh, but a laugh of pure, unadulterated delight. For Tzinchi, this isn't a threat, it's an opportunity. He sees in these hybrids, and their strange psychic resonance, an endless tapestry of possibilities, new schemes, new manipulations, new paths to power. It's all laid out before him, a fresh canvas for his intricate plots. Tzinch thrives on novelty, on the unexpected. He loves twists, turns, and unpredictable outcomes. These hybrids, defying categorization, are the ultimate wildcard. They are a new variable in the cosmic equation, and to Tzinch, that's more exciting than anything. He's probably already devising a million different ways to exploit their unique nature, to weave them into his grand plans, to use them as pawns in games that span galaxies and millennia. The very fabric of their being, their inherent contradiction, is a testament to the kind of chaotic evolution Tzinch adores. He doesn't see them as enemies, but as tools, as new pieces on his chessboard, ready to be maneuvered for maximum disruption and change. On the other end of the spectrum, we have Nurgle, the Plague Lord, the Grandfather. The embodiment of decay, despair, and rebirth. How does he react to this emerging psychic presence? Nurgle growls. It's a deep, guttural sound, filled with a mixture of annoyance and dawning comprehension. Nurgle senses competition. His domain is stagnation, the slow, inevitable creep of disease and entropy. He revels in the cycles of life and death, the comfort of decay, and the burgeoning life that springs from corruption. But these hybrids, they represent something different. Their resilience, their strange adaptation, their very existence outside the conventional cycle of corruption and despair, is a challenge to his cosmic order. They are a form of life that isn't easily corrupted by his gifts, not easily consumed by his diseases. They are a new, unfamiliar form of life that doesn't fit into his grand cycle of decay and rebirth. They are an anomaly that could potentially disrupt the very flow of despair he feeds upon. Nurgle sees their emerging power not as a source of new infection, but as a resistant strain, a vibrant and unsettling presence that defies his touch. He recognizes a potential rival force, something that might even offer a new, disturbing form of hope or resistance to his endless rot. And that, for Nurgle, is a very unwelcome development. Now, let's consider the implications of this, not just for the Chaos Gods, but for everything else. This warp disturbance isn't just a localized ripple, it's a growing storm. Imagine the psychic static, the sheer energetic output of these hybrids, expanding outwards. Astropaths, the Imperium's psychic communicators, would be experiencing unprecedented interference, static, and even painful feedback. Their connection to the Astronomicon, the Emperor's guiding light, might be flickering, distorted, or even temporarily severed in affected areas. This isn't just an inconvenience. It's a strategic nightmare. Communication across the vast distances of the Imperium relies entirely on these psychers. If their abilities are compromised, entire sectors could be cut off, isolated, and left vulnerable. And what about the other dangers lurking in the warp? The predatory entities, the minor demons, the things that feed on psychic energy. This new resonance would be like a massive siren call, drawing them in. Imagine the terror of a void ship traversing the warp, already a harrowing journey, now facing an entirely new spectrum of psychic interference and predatory entities drawn by this strange, vibrant echo. Navigation would become even more treacherous, and incursions by lesser demonic entities would increase exponentially, preying on the fear and confusion of mortal crews. This leads us directly to the Psyche Terroren, Psycho. Those individuals cursed and blessed with psychic abilities are already on a knife edge. Their minds are windows to the warp, and that makes them incredibly vulnerable. With this new powerful and utterly alien psychic field reverberating through the Imperium, their lives become a living nightmare. Imagine the constant bombardment of unfamiliar thoughts, emotions, and raw energy. The sheer sensory overload would be enough to drive many to madness. Their minds, already fragile barriers against the horrors of the warp, would be subjected to immense pressure. They might experience violent seizures, uncontrolled psychic outbursts, or even become conduits for demonic possession with terrifying ease. The Inquisition, always on high alert for psychic deviations, would be thrown into a frenzy. Every nascent psyker, every experienced battle psyker, would be under intense scrutiny. Are they merely affected by the disturbance, or are they somehow connected to its source? The line between legitimate psychic activity and heretical mutation would blur, leading to even more purges and unimaginable suffering for those caught in the psychic crossfire. The terror isn't just external, it's internal. Psychos would be battling not just the external chaos of the warp, but the internal chaos of their own minds, struggling to maintain sanity and control amidst the onslaught of these strange new echoes. It's a truly horrifying prospect, and it underscores just how destabilizing these hybrids are becoming. So, as these echoes spread, the galaxy itself is bracing for impact. The balance of power, the very understanding of reality in the warp, is being challenged by something truly unprecedented. These hybrids, once a localized threat, are now a cosmic variable, and their presence is reshaping the very nature of existence in the grimdark future. The question isn't asterisk, if asterisk things will change, but how drastically. This is a monumental moment in the narrative, folks. The emergence of a force that defies the established order of the Chaos Gods, that shakes the Imperium to its core, is a game. It means that the universe is far more complex and far more terrifying than anyone ever imagined, and the implications for both humanity and the Xenos are vast and deeply unsettling. What do you all think about Tzeentch's delight and Nurgle's growl? All right, everyone, settle in, because today we're diving deep into one of the most chilling, body horror nightmares of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. We're talking Tyranids, but not just any Tyranids. We're exploring an incident so profound, so utterly grotesque, that it reshaped a fleet and left the galaxy, wondering about the true limits of assimilation. This is Chapter X of a story you might not have heard, a terrifying tale of the Tyranid response. Imagine, if you will, the vast, cold void of space. Billions of stars twinkle with indifferent light, but in one sector, an immense shadow begins to fall. A Tyranid splinter fleet, a colossal entity of living starships, each one a biological weapon of unfathomable scale, emerges from the warp. Its purpose, ruthless, singular, and utterly devastating. To reclaim what it perceives as aberrant genetic material. This fleet isn't just hungry. It's driven by the primal urge of the hive mind, a vast alien consciousness that encompasses every single Tyranid organism. It knows there's a deviation, a mistake in the grand design, and it's coming to correct it, to reabsorb it back into the collective biomass. But here's where the story takes a truly disturbing turn. The aberrant genetic material isn't some rogue gene seed or a lost bioform. It's something far more insidious. It's the Genestealer Cults, those insidious Xenos hybrids that infest human worlds, worshipping their alien patriarchs and preparing for the arrival of the Star Children. These cults, with their partially Tyranid, partially host species DNA, represent a unique evolutionary branch, a tool of infiltration, yes, but also a genetic anomaly in the pure, unadulterated Tyranid schema. Hive Mind, in its infinite alien wisdom, decided it was time to collect. As the splinter fleet drew closer, its vast, organic vessels, bristling with weaponry and teeming with billions of lesser bioforms, began to unleash their terror. Planetary defense grids crumpled, orbital stations were ripped apart like paper, and worlds screamed as the vanguard of the Tyranid invasion began its descent. Swarms of gargoyles darkened the skies, spores choked the atmosphere, and the ground itself seemed to boil with the catinous hordes of hormagaunts, and termagant. But amidst this maelstrom of destruction, an unexpected element was at play. The cults, the very reason for the fleet's arrival, were not simply passive victims, or even active collaborators in the way the hive mind usually intends. No, these hybrids, products of generations of adaptation and latent psionic awakening, had a more intimate agenda. Their strange, interwoven genetic code, a blend of Tyranid and sentient species, had gifted them with unforeseen capabilities. As the hive fleet descended, seeking to consume and integrate, something truly unprecedented happened. Instead of being simply reabsorbed, the hybrids, through a subtle, insidious process, managed to infect the most crucial component of the splinter fleet, the hive tyrants. Synaptic node. This wasn't a direct combat engagement, mind you. This was a biological, psychic invasion from within. The synaptic node, the very core of the hive tyrants, connection to the hive mind, the nexus of its control over the entire fleet, became the target. The hybrids, driven by an instinct born of their unique lineage, began to weave their way into its consciousness. Think of it like a viral infection, but instead of just physical cells, it was a psychic and genetic infiltration. Their aberrant nature, instead of being purged, found a way to assert itself, to merge with the very entity sent to erase it. The implications are staggering. The hive tyrant, a creature of immense power and a direct conduit to the hive mind, began to change. Its vast, alien intellect, one solely dedicated to the will of the collective, found itself grappling with foreign impulses, with genetic data that was both familiar and profoundly different. The synaptic link, the unbreakable chain of command that defined the Tyranid fleet, began to warp and shift. And then, silence. The massive Tyranid splinter fleet, which moments before had been a symphony of bioacoustic roars and the thunderous beat of organic engines, fell utterly silent. Not a silence of death, but a silence of profound transformation. The myriad bioforms aboard the ships, the countless organisms under the hive tyrant's command, ceased their programmed functions. The predatory hum that always accompanied a Tyranid fleet vanished, replaced by an unnerving, palpable stillness. What followed next was a process of nightmarish biological engineering on a scale never before witnessed. The fleet's biomass, the very living fabric of its ships and creatures, began to be repurposed, but not in the usual way, where conquered worlds are liquefied and absorbed. No, this was an internal metamorphosis. The genetic influence of the hybrids, having infected the hive tyrant, began to dictate a new design, a new purpose. The colossal ships, those majestic and terrifying bioconstructs, started to morph. Their forms, already alien, became even stranger. New appendages sprouted, chitinous plates shifted and reformed, and vast, cavernous spaces within the vessels began to grow, twisting into structures that echoed the subterranean layers of the cults themselves. The entire fleet was being woven into something new, something that wasn't purely Tyranid, nor purely hybrid, but an amalgamation of both. These weren't just Tyranid hive ships anymore. They were becoming hybrid hive ships. Imagine a vessel that not only devours planets, but also breeds and sustains entire populations of Genestealer cultists. Within its very structure, designed to seed worlds with even greater efficiency and stealth. The genetic material of the cults, once deemed an aberration, had become the blueprint for a new evolution, a new type of Tyranid strategy. The purity of the original hive mind's design had been compromised, or perhaps enhanced, depending on your perspective. This event, this Chapter 9, fundamentally altered the trajectory of that particular splinter fleet. It ceased to be a simple instrument of consumption and became something more complex, more insidious. The integration wasn't just physical. It was a fusion of consciousness, a blending of instincts. The hive tyrant, and through it, the entire fleet, now carried the indelible mark of the hybrid. Its methods of conquest would be different, its approach to assimilation more nuanced, terrifyingly so. The galaxy, vast and uncaring, was largely unaware of this profound internal transformation. To most, it would simply be another Tyranid threat, another ravenous horde. But those who understood the subtle shifts, those who dared to ponder the implications of such an event, would shudder, because it meant the Tyranids, Already the ultimate adapters had found a new way to evolve, a new horror to unleash. The boundaries between pure Tyranid and infected host had blurred, giving rise to something potentially far more dangerous, far more difficult to counter. And that, friends, is the terrifying potential of the Tyranid response when it goes utterly, grotesquely wrong, or perhaps utterly, grotesquely right. From the Hive Mind's perspective, it's a testament to the fact that even the most monolithic, alien intelligence can be influenced, can be changed, by the very things it seeks to control. We're talking about Chapter 10, The Shadow and the Signal. A pivotal turning point where the Imperium's ultimate solution created an even greater, more enigmatic threat. Get ready, because this isn't just about a planet's destruction. It's about a galaxy-wide invitation that no one expected. Imagine, if you will, the Imperium of man facing an infestation so dire, so corrupting, that no other option remained. The hybrids, a grotesque fusion of human and xenos, had burrowed deep, their tendrils of influence spreading like a plague. To the Imperium, there's only one response to such an existential horror. It's the final, horrifying decree. A planet-killing solution designed to wipe out all life, ensuring that the taint is utterly eradicated, never to spread again. This isn't a decision made lightly. It's an act of desperation, a grim sacrifice to protect the countless worlds beyond. The fleet assembled, void shields humming, macro cannons charged, cyclonic torpedoes armed and ready. The order was given, and the heavens tore open with fire. A world, once teeming with life, now faced total annihilation. A final, fiery cleansing. From orbit, the spectacle would have been terrifyingly beautiful. A star born anew, momentarily, before collapsing into ash and superheated plasma. For the Imperial forces, it was a victory, albeit a grim one. The threat was contained, the heresy purged, or so they thought. But these were no ordinary hybrids. They were connected. A vast, burgeoning consciousness, not just with their Xenos masters, but with something far older, far more profound. As the first lances of exterminatus pierced the atmosphere, as the very crust of their world began to fracture, something extraordinary happened. The hybrids, facing oblivion, did not cower. They did not despair in silence. Instead, they unleashed a scream. Not a scream of agony, but a signal. Broadcast, a psychic beacon that tore through the fabric of the galaxy itself. This wasn't a plea for help. It wasn't a cry of submission. No, this was something far more chilling, far more arrogant. It was an invitation, a call to arms, perhaps, or a declaration of a new dawn. It was a message that defied the Imperium's final judgment, twisting their act of destruction into a grand announcement. Imagine the sheer audacity. As their world burned, they reached out, not in defeat, but in defiance, proclaiming their arrival to anyone, anything that could hear, and hear it. They did. Across the vast, silent chasms of the void, ancient sensors stirred. Deep within slumbering tomb worlds, circuits flickered, decoding the strange resonance. The Necrons, those soulless, metallic phantoms of a bygone era, intercepted the broadcast. Their cold, logical minds, usually focused on their own inscrutable agendas, paused. What was his new energy signature? This vibrant, defiant pulse amidst the death throes of a world. It was an anomaly, a variable in their grand calculations, and one that demanded investigation. The silence of their millennium-long slumber was broken by this unexpected, powerful signal. Their ancient protocols, designed for threats and opportunities, a new shadow, or perhaps a new dawn, was forming on their distant horizon. Simultaneously, far across the stars, in the ethereal realms navigated by the Eldar, their farseers felt its pull. These master psychics, those who walk the knife-edged between past and future, experienced it not as a static message, but as a deep resonating hum in the skeins of fate. It was a disturbance, a ripple in the calm waters of their precognition, a profound shift in the probabilities they constantly weigh. It was a psychic echo that spoke of immense power, of burgeoning possibility, and of a dangerous, alluring unknown. For the Eldar, every such ripple is a potential cataclysm or a slender thread of salvation for their dying race. This signal was neither clearly good nor evil. It was simply compelling. It demanded attention, demanded interpretation, and above all, demanded a response. Their pathways to destiny, already so precarious, suddenly had a new, unexpected crossroads. The signal didn't stop there. It spread. Like ripples in a pond, it emanated outwards from the point of awakening ancient sentinels and stirring forgotten prophecies across the galaxy. Every faction, every race, from the smallest barbarian tribes to the most advanced galactic empires, felt its distant tremor, its faint hum. Some dismissed it as static, others as a harbinger of doom, and still others as a beacon of opportunity. It bypassed conventional communication, traveling through the psychic thought, a whisper in the collective subconscious of the galaxy. Think about the implications here. The Imperium's ultimate weapon, designed to cleanse and purify, instead acted as a megaphone, amplifying the very threat it sought to silence. What was meant to be a final curtain call became an opening act. The hybrids, in their final moments, achieved what perhaps their masters had long sought: universal attention. They turned their destruction into a grand statement, challenging not just the Imperium, but every established power in the galaxy. This event is more than just a battle. It's a paradigm shift. It tells us that even in the face of absolute annihilation, there can be unexpected defiance, and that sometimes the solutions we deploy create problems far grander than the ones they solve. The psychic signal, born from the death throes of a world, was a promise, a warning, and an invitation all rolled into one. It was a spark that ignited new ambitions, new fears, and new conflicts across countless star systems. What do you think this signal truly meant? Was it a desperate act of rebellion, or a cunning strategy engineered by something far more sinister? How did the Necrons interpret its cold logic, and what visions did the Eldar Farseers glean from its potent psychic pool? The answers, I believe, lie in the evolving tapestry of galactic conflict, where every action has unforeseen consequences, and every ending is just a new beginning. This single event, the Exterminatus, that inadvertently broadcast an invitation across the stars, irrevocably changed the landscape of the galaxy. It set in motion a chain of events that would see ancient foes stirred from their slumber, and new alliances, or perhaps new rivalries, begin to form. The shadow of the hybrids lingered, not as a physical presence, but as an echoing signal, forever altering the balance of power. The galaxy, already a theater of endless war, just got a whole lot more complicated. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the shadow and the signal. I hope you enjoyed exploring this fascinating and terrifying moment in galactic history. If you did, please give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Alright, buckle up, sci-fi fanatics and lore lovers, because today we re-dive in deep into one of the Warhammer 40,000 universe's most insidious and fascinating threats. The Genestealer Cults, but not just any cults. We're talking about a terrifying new evolution, a galactic phenomenon that's changing everything we thought we knew about these Xenos infiltrators. Get ready, because the galaxy is about to meet the flesh that learns. You know, for centuries, the Genestealer Cults have been a lurking horror, patiently weaving their webs of deception beneath the Imperium's unsuspecting worlds. They've been the quiet whisper, the hidden hand, slowly converting populations, generation by generation, until the day the Tyranid Hive fleet arrives. Then, boom! Insurrection, chaos, and a welcoming beacon for their ravenous gods. But now, something fundamentally different is happening. We're seeing a mutation, a horrifying upgrade across countless worlds that's turning these already dangerous cults into something even more unthinkable. Imagine this. Dormant Genestealer cults, some lying low for millennia, suddenly experiencing spontaneous, radical mutations. This isn't just your typical four-armed patriarch or mind-slaved acolyte anymore. We're talking about drastic, biological transformations that are fundamentally altering their capabilities and their very nature. It's like the universe hit the fast-forward button on their evolutionary cycle, and the results are absolutely terrifying. Some of these cults, for instance, are now manifesting with jet black chitin, tougher than ceramite, and acid glands capable of melting through reinforced bulkheads. Picture a wave of these monstrosities, scuttling through the dark, their claws rending armor and their acidic spittle dissolving everything in their path. This isn't just close-quarters combat. It's an environmental weapon unleashed by creatures that were once barely distinguishable from humans. The tactical implications alone are staggering. No longer are they just a hidden army. They are now a bioweapon in themselves, perfectly adapted for urban warfare, for subterranean assaults, or for simply overwhelming planetary defenses with sheer, corrosive might. But wait, it gets even wilder. Other cults are exhibiting something even more chilling. Psychic, xenomorph-like coordination. Now, if you're familiar with you know they operate with an almost hive mind efficiency. A silent, deadly precision that makes them terrifying predators. Translate that to a Genestealer cult, and you have an enemy that moves with impossible synchronization, anticipating every move, reacting with a seamless unity that defies conventional military tactics. This isn't just mind control, it's a shared consciousness, a collective intelligence forged from the raw psychic energy of their nascent brood. Imagine trying to fight an enemy where every single member is a perfect extension of a single, malevolent, will capable of executing complex maneuvers without a single spoken word or visible command. It's like fighting a living, breathing, hyper-intelligent swarm. And from this grotesque crucible of mutation and psychic awakening, something truly profound and profoundly disturbing is emerging. A new religion. It's not just the old worship of the star children or the emperor in disguise. This is something far more primal, far more biological. It's called the flesh that learns. Think about that name for a second. The flesh that learns. It speaks to an almost evolutionary consciousness, a belief that their very bodies are the vessels of ultimate truth and ultimate power, constantly adapting, constantly improving, constantly evolving towards some monstrous. This new bioreligion is not about prophecy or divine intervention in the traditional sense. It's about apotheosis through biological transformation. It's a cult that reveres mutation, not as a random occurrence, but as a sacred step towards a higher state of being. They see their new acid glands, their hardened chitin, their psychic links, not as but as blessings, as proof that their genetic destiny is unfolding. Every grotesque change is celebrated. Every horrifying development is a sign that they are becoming closer to their ultimate form, closer to the perfect predator that the Tyranid Hive Mind represents. Imagine the sermons of the flesh that learns, hushed hymns celebrating the shedding of old skin, ecstatic prayers for more mutations, and rituals that involve the purposeful grafting of alien flesh onto their own. This isn't just about faith. It's about physical transformation as a path to salvation. It's a religion born from the Tyranid imperative of consumption and adaptation, but filtered through the twisted minds of sentient creatures. It's a terrifying fusion of biological horror and religious fervor, making these cults not just dangerous, but ideologically unshakable. The implications for the Imperium are, frankly, catastrophic. If Genestealer cults were already a silent cancer, the flesh that learns is an aggressive, rapidly metastasizing tumor. The speed at which these mutations are occurring and the unified ideology behind them means that containment will be nearly impossible. A cult in one sector might develop specific bioadaptations that make them uniquely suited to their environment, while another cult, thousands of light years away, develops parallel, yet different, terrifying abilities. This isn't just a threat, it's a dynamic, evolving plague. And what about the Tyranids themselves? Are these spontaneous mutations and the emergence of the flesh that learns simply the natural, horrific progression of the Genestealer life cycle? Or is there something more insidious at play? Is the hive mind actively guiding these changes, experimenting with new forms and new methodologies for conquering worlds before the main fleet even arrives? Or could it be something even more disturbing, a kind of collective consciousness emerging from the cults themselves, feeding back into the hive mind, creating a truly symbiotic and truly terrifying relationship? The questions are endless, and the answers are likely drenched in blood. So, when you think about the Genestealer cults now, don't just picture the familiar insidious picture something far more monstrous. Black chitinous horrors, spitting acid, moving with the seamless coordination of a xenomorph swarm, all driven by a fervent, biological religion that celebrates every grotesque mutation. The flesh that learns is here, and it's rewriting the rules of Xenos corruption in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. This new level of threat means that the Imperium's fight against the Genestealer cults has become infinitely more complicated. It's no longer just about rooting out insurgents. It's about combating a rapidly evolving biological weapon, a psychic network, and a fanatical bioreligion all rolled into one. The very fabric of galactic society is at risk, not just from invasion, but from within, from a creeping, changing horror that adapts faster than any defense can be built. This is the stuff of nightmares, folks, and it's unfolding across 1,000 worlds. What do you think about these new, mutated Genestealer cults? Are they an even bigger threat than a full-blown Tyranid invasion, given their ability to operate from within? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this dive into the dark corners of the 40K lore, please hit that like button. Share this video with your fellow Warhammer enthusiasts. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the grim darkness of the far future. Your support helps this channel grow, and I truly appreciate every single one of you. Hey, Eberun, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into some truly mind-bending cosmic horror. A conflict so epic, it reshapes entire species. We're talking about the War of Three Minds, a pivotal chapter in the endless struggle against a terrifying, adaptive threat. This isn't just about survival. It's about evolution, pure and brutal. Imagine a galaxy caught between three colossal, inimical forces. On one side, you have the boundless, all-consuming hunger of the hive mind, a truly alien intelligence that seeks to devour all organic life. Its psychic presence is like an endless scream in the void, driving countless organisms to serve its singular purpose. Then, we have the insidious corruption of chaos, the dark gods and their legions, promising power and destruction, whispering madness into the hearts of mortals. Their influence twists and warps reality itself, creating monstrous abominations and driving empires to ruin. And finally, the grim, unyielding might of the Imperium of man, a vast, interstellar empire forged in fire, desperately trying to defend humanity against a galaxy full of horrors, often with brutal, uncompromising methods. Now, into this already nightmarish scenario, we introduce the hybrids. These aren't just any common foe. They are a truly unique and utterly terrifying biological anomaly. They are a strain born of deception and infestation, a creature designed to infiltrate, subvert, and ultimately consume from within. And in this particular chapter of their grim saga, the War of Three Minds, these hybrids find themselves caught in the crosshairs of all three of these titanic powers. Each of these factions, Hive Mind Chaos, and the Imperium, recognizes the hybrids as an existential threat. In their own unique way, the hive mind sees them as a potential competitor for biomass, an aberrant offshoot that needs to be absorbed or purged. Chaos views them as a blasphemous perversion, a biological abomination that doesn't fit neatly into their schemes of corruption, or perhaps even a rival form of infestation. And the Imperium, well, the Imperium sees them as another Xenos plague, a horrifying enemy to be eradicated with extreme prejudice, a foe that undermines the very fabric of human society. So, naturally, each of these mighty forces launches its own campaign to either control, assimilate, or outright annihilate these hybrids. And you'd think, wouldn't you, that against such overwhelming power, such ancient and vast entities, the hybrids would simply be crushed, wiped out of existence like an irritating speck. Well, that's where the truly horrifying genius of the hybrids comes into play. Because the shocking truth is, none of them succeed. Think about that for a moment. Billions of warriors, untold psychic energy, planet-destroying weapons, and yet, the hybrids persist. They don't just survive, they adapt. This isn't just a war. It's a crucible of evolution. Every single defeat, every near-extinction event, every battle lost, every strategy countered by the overwhelming might of their enemies doesn't break them. Instead, it makes them stronger, smarter, and infinitely more dangerous. This is the core concept of #adaptive evolution in its most chilling form. The hybrids aren't just surviving, they're learning. And their learning isn't theoretical, it's biological. They are literally evolving new defenses, new tactics, new means of survival, all in response to the very specific threats posed by the hive mind, chaos, and the Imperium. Let's break down some of these incredible, terrifying adaptations. First up, counterset. The hive mind and chaos both wield immense psychic power. The hive mind's synapse creatures project a pervasive psychic shadow, controlling their lesser organisms and crushing the will of their foes. Chaos sorcerers unleash devastating warp energies, bending reality to their will. Faced with this constant barrage of psychic assault, the hybrids don't just cower. No, they develop their own innate defenses. They evolve specialized neural structures, perhaps even psionically nullifying zones within their own biology, or even the ability to subtly disrupt enemy psychic powers. Imagine trying to mind control a creature, only for your thoughts to be scrambled, or your powers to simply fizzle out, thanks to an evolutionary trait specifically designed to counter your kind. This makes them incredibly difficult to predict, control, or even effectively sense on a battlefield. Next, we have neural armor. The Imperium, with its advanced weaponry, and the sheer physicality of both the hive minds, swarms, and chaos's demon engines, inflict immense damage. Standard armor simply wouldn't be enough. So, the hybrids develop neural armor. This isn't just about tougher chitin or denser scales. This is armor that can react, adapt, and even repair itself in real time. Perhaps it's a bioelectrical field that dampens incoming kinetic energy, or layers of living tissue that can reconfigure themselves to absorb impact or disperse heat. It might even include a decentralized nervous system that allows individual parts of their body to function even if critical sections are destroyed, making them incredibly resilient and difficult to truly put down. It's a living shield, evolving with every hit. And then, perhaps most insidious of all, is chemical mimicry. This is where their infiltration capabilities go next level. The hybrids are already masters of disguise, blending into human societies. But with chemical mimicry, they can emulate the biological markers, pheromones, and even metabolic byproducts of other species. Imagine infiltrating a hive fleet's organism processing centers, emitting chemicals that make them appear as a harmless, indigenous species, or even a low-grade servitor creature. Or perhaps they could generate signals that temporarily confuse detection systems of the Imperium, making them appear as standard Imperial personnel or harmless local fauna. This isn't just camouflage, it's biological espionage at its most advanced, allowing them to move undetected through enemy lines, gather intelligence, and sow chaos from within. This constant, brutal cycle of conflict and adaptation means that the hybrids are never the same enemy twice. Each encounter with the hive mind pushes them to evolve specific anti-Tyranid traits. Each skirmish with chaos forces them to develop new defenses against warp energies and demonic corruption. And every time the Imperium unleashes its might, the hybrids learn how to evade its purges and undermine its strategies. It's an #endless war, not just in duration, but in its relentless demand for evolutionary advancement. The implications of this are staggering. It means that any victory against the hybrids is temporary. At best, it means that the next generation, or even the next clone cycle, will be even more dangerous. Having incorporated the lessons of their predecessors' demise, they become a mirror, reflecting and countering the very nature of their attackers. They are a constantly shifting target, a biological enigma that defies easy categorization or eradication. This war of three minds isn't just a battle for territory or resources. It's a war for biological supremacy, a testament to the terrifying potential of life itself to adapt and overcome. It transforms the hybrids from a mere threat into an ever-present, ever-evolving cosmic horror that pushes the boundaries of what is possible in warfare. So, what does this tell us about the nature of these vast conflicts? It highlights the sheer scale of the challenges faced by any faction in this universe. It shows that even the most powerful entities can be outmaneuvered, not through brute force, but through relentless, incremental adaptation. It makes you wonder, if the hybrids are evolving at this rate, what will they become next? What new horrors will they unleash, having mastered the defenses against the galaxy's most formidable powers? This isn't just a tale of survival. It's a chilling glimpse into a future where the enemy is constantly learning, constantly changing, always becoming something new, something more dangerous. The hybrids are a living, breathing testament to the power of adaptation, making them one of the most compelling and terrifying threats in all of cosmic horror. What do y'all think? Which of these adaptations do you find most terrifying? Have you encountered similar adaptive enemies in other sci-fi universes? Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the grim darkness of the far future, but with a twist that's going to shake the very foundations of the galaxy. We're talking about a story that explores evolution, transformation, and what happens when ambition transcends even the most terrifying biological imperatives. Get ready for the brood eternal. Now, you might be familiar with the iconic threats of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. The endless tides of tyranny, the relentless march of Necrons, the insidious whispers of chaos. But imagine something ... new. Something that takes the very concept of a galactic predator and elevates it to a level that redefines terror. That's exactly what our final chapter, The Brood Eternal, is all about. Picture this. Deep within the forgotten, dust-choked ruins of Grenthos 4, a world scarred by countless conflicts and forgotten by all but the most ancient and malevolent forces. Here, in the heart of desolation, something incredible and horrifying is unfolding. We witness the ultimate ascension of the Hybrid Queen. Now, for those of you who've been following our narrative, the hybrids have always been a fascinating and terrifying blend of genetic material, a horrifying testament to adaptability. But this is different. The Hybrid Queen in this tale isn't just evolving. She's transcending. She's moving beyond the biological limits that even the most advanced and ancient species have faced. This isn't just about gaining a new claw or a tougher carapace. This is about a fundamental shift, a leap in being that pushes the very boundaries of what life can become. It's an evolution so profound, it redefines what it means to be a predator in a universe where everything already preys on something else. And as she completes this awe-inspiring, grotesque metamorphosis, a final, chilling thought ripples out from her newly formed consciousness. It's not a roar of triumph, nor a guttural command to a swarm. It's a philosophical declaration, one that echoes with disturbing clarity across light, touching the minds of those who are sensitive to such things. Perfection is not purity, it is the hunger to become more. Think about that for a second. In a universe obsessed with purity, with lineage, with maintaining a specific form, whether it's the genetic code of the Tyranids, or the spiritual purity sought by humanity. This statement is a complete rejection of all of it. Purity often implies stasis, an ultimate, unchanging form. But the Hybrid Queen posits that true perfection isn't found in a final, static state, but in the relentless, unyielding drive for continuous transformation, for ceaseless advancement. It's the hunger, the insatiable desire to always become more. This isn't just a powerful statement, it's the ideological bedrock of a new kind of threat. If perfection is constant becoming, then there is no end to its growth, no ultimate form to defeat. This new entity will never be satisfied, never reach a point of completion. It will always strive, always adapt, always consume, not just to survive, but to evolve. And with that thought, a new galactic predator is born. And when we say new, we mean utterly, terrifyingly new. This creature, this entity, this force of nature, is described as being beyond gods, beyond hives, and beyond reason. Let's break that down. Beyond gods. In the Warhammer 40,000 universe, gods are cosmic entities of immense power, often tied to emotions, belief, or cosmic forces. They manipulate, they demand worship, they wage war through proxies. But to be beyond them suggests an independence, a fundamental difference in power and nature. Perhaps it means this new predator doesn't operate on the same cosmic scale, or perhaps it exists on an entirely different plane of being, making the gods themselves merely another form of prey, another source of genetic material, another stage in its endless becoming. It's not interested in belief or worship. It's interested in consumption and integration, beyond hives. This is a critical distinction, especially in a crossover context that evokes the Tyranid Hive Mind is a terrifying collective consciousness, directing countless organisms with a singular, overwhelming will. It's the ultimate superorganism, but our hybrid queen, in her ascension, has moved past this concept. She isn't just a part of a hive. She is the pinnacle, a singular entity that potentially contains or transcends . The collective. Maybe she's not bound by the limitations of a biological network, operating instead with an individual consciousness of such vastness and power that it makes the hive mind seem ... Conventional. This implies a level of autonomy and sophistication that even the Tyranids haven't achieved. And finally, beyond reason. This is perhaps the most unsettling part. Reason implies logic, strategy, predictable patterns, even if those patterns are brutally efficient. But to be beyond reason suggests an existence that operates on principles utterly alien to any known form of life or intelligence. It might mean its motives are incomprehensible, its methods unfathomable, its ultimate goals beyond human or even Xeno's understanding. How do you fight something that operates on a completely different set of rules? Something whose actions defy any logical prediction or understanding. It's not just a physical threat, it's an existential one. A cosmic horror that challenges the very framework of reality as we know it. This final chapter, The Brood Eternal, isn't just about a new monster. It's about a new paradigm of galactic threat. It's a terrifying exploration of unchecked evolution, of ambition unburdened by ethical or even biological constraints. It asks fundamental questions about what it means to be alive, what it means to be perfect, and what happens when the very concept of predation transcends all known boundaries. This is the kind of story that leaves you thinking long after you've finished reading, staring into the darkness and wondering what truly lurks out there, hungry to become more. This crossover idea, merging intense evolutionary concepts with the grim, sprawling universe of Warhammer 40,000, opens up so many incredible storytelling possibilities. Imagine the Imperium's reaction to a threat that doesn't fit into any of their established categories. How would the cunning Eldar, with their millennia of experience, even begin to comprehend something so utterly alien? What would the Necrons, with their ancient, calculating minds, make of an enemy that embodies constant, chaotic change? The implications are truly galaxy-shaking. So, tell me in the comments below, what are your thoughts on this ultimate form of galactic predator? How would you even begin to combat a being that declares perfection is not purity? It is the hunger to become more. Let's get a discussion going. Thank you so much for joining me today on this deep dive. If you enjoyed this journey into the terrifying unknown, please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more epic lore and storytelling, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Your support means the world, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Stay safe out there, and remember, always be vigilant.